Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl moveset video. Today's video is going to be all about the final evolution of the fire starter, Infernape. So let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Infernape is a firefighting type Pokemon with access to two abilities, the first of which being Blaze, which is an ability that increases the power of fire type moves by 50% when you fall to a third of your health or less. And its hidden ability is known as Iron Fist, which boosts the power of punching moves by 20%. And it's interesting to note that close combat is not necessarily considered a punching move, which a lot of people assume it does. Same goes for Sucker Punch, but other moves like Fire Punch and Thunder Punch and Mach Punch all fall under this category that get boosted by this ability, which is very good for most physical sets that Infernape is going to run. As for its stats though, it has a base 76 HP, 71 defense, and 71 special defense, meaning that more often than not this Pokemon isn't really going to be used as a defensive Pokemon as it is quite frail. However, offensively is really where Infernape shines, boasting a base 104 physical and special attack and a base 108 speed stat, making it very fast and very threatening as both a physical and special attacker, and being one of the very few Pokemon in the game that can really run an extremely effective mixed attacking set due to the interesting stab combination of fire and fighting, as well as a couple of other really great coverage moves that Infernape has access to. And all of these qualities landed this Pokemon as one of the mainstays of the OU tier back when Gen 4 was originally released, so it'll be interesting to see how this stands in the pre-Poke home era that we are currently in right now as this video is being released. But with that, let's take a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to be making Infernape into a powerful physical choiced attacker capable of boosting its speed to outspeed pretty much everything that also isn't choice scarfed, or boosting its attack to allow it to basically rip through walls that are unable to take two hits from this thing, possibly on the switch or just outright. So we're going to start this off by giving it a Jolly Nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, and go with the Iron Fist ability. And for the EVs, we're going to maximize its physical attack and speed with 252 EVs into both of those, and put the remainder 4 into special defense. As for the moves, Close Combat is going to be our go-to fighting type move. It's extremely powerful, being base 120 power, but does have the negative drawback of dropping your defense stats. However, that generally doesn't come into play when you're bringing Infernape in, because you're pretty much probably just going to bring it in to hit something really hard once or twice and then switch out, not really having to worry about that defense drop. Alongside this, we're going to be running a Fire Stab attack in the form of either Flare Blitz or Fire Punch, basically depending on if you want the more powerful move despite the recoil, or a less powerful, more reliable move because you won't have the recoil. Also keeping in mind that Fire Punch is boosted by Iron Fist, making it a little bit stronger than normal. However, despite that, Flare Blitz is still the stronger option. Then alongside this, we're going to be running Thunder Punch as an additional type coverage option, which is excellent for Infernape to use. It allows it a very decent way of dealing with potential bulky water type switch-ins, especially something like Gyarados that is going to be 4 times weak to Thunder Punch. But in addition to this, we could also run Mach Punch to give this Pokemon a powerful priority move to make use of as well, getting it the jump on some other things that may also be trying to make use of priority, such as Technician, Breloom, and Scizor, and things like that. Lastly, for the move, in the final move slot, we're either going to run U-Turn, which is great for allowing Infernape to pivot, especially also potentially getting a Pokemon like Slowbro or Latios on the switch that are trying to switch in to resist one of your attacks. U-Turn will hit them super effectively, which is really great, but Mach Punch also could be used there as well if you want to just run a non-switch move and have all the type coverage in addition to the priority. But for the items on the set, it really just depends on if you want to be faster with the Choice Scarf or more powerful with the Choice Band, both of which are extremely effective. And I remember a time back in the day when 4th Gen came out when banded Infernape was an extremely potent and ever-present threat in the metagame because of how it could just completely annihilate anything on your opponent's team with the proper prediction. But both ways you run this thing can be very effective and allow Infernape to augment its already amazing sweeping and wall-breaking potential. As for this next moveset, we're also going to be running Infernape as a physical attacker, but this time we're going to be doing so by using a very powerful boosting move in the form of Swords Dance, which will be boosting our physical attack by 2 stages when we use it. Alongside this, we're going to be making use again of a Jolly Nature, the Iron Fist ability, and the same EV spread as before to maximize our attack and speed. And for the item this time, we're going to be going with a Life Orb, which will allow us the opportunity to switch up our moves, unlike with the Choice Lock set, but we'll be only boosting our power by 30% at the cost of losing 10% of our health every time we damage an opponent. Alongside Swords Dance, though, we're going to be running a fighting type move in the form of either Close Combat or Mach Punch, keeping in mind that while Mach Punch is significantly weaker and doesn't really get boosted that much by Iron Fist, it becomes 48 base power as opposed to 40, it still is incredibly powerful after a Swords Dance boost, often allowing you to forego even needing to run Close Combat in favor of the priority move, so do keep that in mind. But for your main fire type stab, again, Flare Blitz and Fire Punch are the go-to options here. Flare Blitz you might want to consider a little bit more just because of the added power, but the recoil might make you want to use Fire Punch more as well because you're also running a Life Orb, so that is something to keep in mind. Finally, though, for the last move slot, Thunder Punch is there again for the bulky water types that you might be up against, but Stone Edge is another excellent option, especially because it allows you to deal with some other Pokemon that'll deal with your stabs pretty well and even possibly even resist Thunder Punch, such as Latios, and Salamence and Dragonite and things like that. So both coverage options are extremely effective. It really just depends on what you specifically want to be running on this moveset to make it as powerful as possible and able to rip through your opponent's teams after a Swords Dance boost. Moving on to the special side of Infernape's move pool, we have a Nasty Plot sweeping set here for you. So this time the nature is going to either be Timid to boost your speed but lower your physical attack, or a Naive nature to boost your speed but lower your special defense. And for the ability this time, we're going to be going with Blaze because we aren't really using any punching moves. As for the EVs, we're going to change it up a bit, run max special attack and speed this time with 252 EVs into both of those, and put the remainder 4 into your special defense. But again, the item of choice here is going to be a Life Orb to augment our power even further at the cost of losing some health every time we damage an opponent. As for the moves, though, since this is a special set and a sweeping boosting set, we're going to be running Nasty Plot, which is another great boosting move that Infernape learns, which will be increasing your special attack this time by 2 stages when you use it. Alongside this, we have Fire Blast or Flamethrower as our main stab fire move. Again, Fire Blast being stronger but less accurate, Flamethrower being a little bit more consistent. And then for your fighting type move of choice, we have Focus Blast here or Close Combat. It might seem weird to run Close Combat here, but Close Combat still is just exceptionally strong even without boosting our physical attack at all. So it could be an option, especially because it's still a little bit more reliable than the 70% accurate Focus Blast. So please keep both options in mind, and this is where you would opt to run the Naive nature. Finally, for the last move, we could either run Grass Knot, which is an excellent type coverage option, allowing you to hit bulky water types that resist your moves, or if you would like to go for a priority option, you could go ahead and run Vacuum Wave, which is the unique fighting type special priority move that this Pokemon also has access to. All of which being great options, though, for coverage. You could even forego running Focus Blast or Close Combat in favor of Vacuum Wave and just run Fire Blast or Flamethrower and Grass Knot as your only really special attacks there on the other side for coverage, but it really is entirely up to you. All of these moves, no matter what combination you use with them, will be great options for turning Infernape into a very powerful and threatening special sweeper. Finally, for the last main attacking set for Infernape to run, we're going to be utilizing it as a mixed attacker, which is something it does exceptionally well. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Naive nature to boost its speed but lower its special defense, and again go with the Blaze ability. As for the EVs, this time we're going to be running 96 attack, 170 special attack, and still maximizing its speed with 252 EVs, which gives you a spread that allows you to have a decent boost to both offenses that will give you the opportunity to KO things pretty successfully from both sides if Stealth Rock is up, or without it if they have taken a little bit of prior damage to begin with. But generally, this set is designed to deal with things so well that there's basically nothing that can come in and switch on it unless it basically resists all of your moves or has some crazy defensive stats. So alongside this, to augment our power further, we're again going to go with a Life Orb to boost our attack while lowering our HP by 10% every time we damage our opponents. But again, Close Combat, the tried and true fighting type move, is here. It's going to be your main physical attack on the set, and this primarily is for dealing stuff with great special defense, such as Blissey, which will still die to Close Combat even without the immense investment of all 252 EVs into that. Then alongside this, we're going to be running a special fire move in the form of Fire Blast. This time the added power is definitely worth it since we're not fully maximizing our special attack. And again, alongside this, running Grass Knot for that additional type coverage, which is so useful against water types that are going to be resisting your fire type moves and sometimes even your fighting type moves in the case of something like Slowbro. Finally, for the last move, we can run U-turn, which is an excellent pivot move. It allows us to deal a little bit of damage in the process, again, against things that might want to switch in, such as the aforementioned Slowbro and Latios and Latios and things like that are weak to bug moves. But we can also incorporate Mach Punch into this set as well, because it does still give us priority, albeit less powerful than on the fully physical set, but still very useful. And all these things in combination with each other allow Swampert to basically deal some pretty significant damage from both sides of the attacking spectrum and be very threatening out of the gate because of how powerful it is on both the physical and special side at the same time. Now, in addition to being an amazing attacker, Infernape also has the added benefit of being able to set up hazards. So this set is going to seek to utilize that to its greatest potential. So we're going to start this one off going back to the physical side of things with a Jolly Nature to boost our speed but lower our special attack, go with the Iron Fist ability, and then maximize our physical attack and speed with putting the remainder 4 EVs into its defense. As for the item this time, we're going to be running a Focus Sash because this can be used very successfully in the lead position in a typical battle, but you can also use this to maintain this potentially if you have Rapid Spin or Defog hazard support if your opponents have managed to set up hazards that would break your Sash. Either way, the first move on the set is going to be Stealth Rock, which is, again, one of the best moves in the game as it will set up hazards on your opponent's side of the field that will damage them every single time they switch in. And the fact that this is on such an amazing attacker, I think is just ridiculous because Infernape already has so much going for it on top of being able to set these up, which is absolutely crazy to me. But alongside this, again, Close Combat is going to be your go-to fighting type move, and Fire Punch this time will be our go-to fire move because we are running the Sash, so we're kind of designed to take a hit, meaning that if we run Flare Blitz, we will just kill ourselves with recoil. Finally, for the last move on the set, we can either run Mach Punch for the priority that it provides, which is very useful no matter where you bring this in a battle, or we can opt to run Taunt here as a way of potentially shutting down other opposing Pokemon that are trying to set up hazards, use recovery moves, or other status moves that Taunt would block. So this gives it a little bit of flexibility in what it can do in a typical lead situation, though like I said before, you don't have to use it as a lead, but just allowing Infernape the opportunity to always be able to live with at least 1 HP because of the Focus Sash and set up hazards could just be enough for what your team needs with the amazing type coverage that you get just between your fighting and fire type stab attacks. Finally, for the last moveset of this video, we're going to be using Infernape in a very unique way that makes use of a couple other moves that it gets in its toolkit. So we're going to start this one off by giving it, again, a Jolly Nature to boost its speed but lower its special attack, and go with the Iron Fist ability. But for the EVs this time, we can either maximize its HP to give it a little bit more bulk and survivability, or just maximize its attack to continue allowing it to retain its strong physical attacking presence. But either way, the 4 defense EVs will still be there, along with the 252 EVs into its speed stat to max that out. Finally, the other really major change with the set is we're going to be running Leftovers this time to increase our HP at the end of every turn, which is rather unique because typically we're trying to boost its physical attack power, but again, this will give it a little bit more survivability. Finally, for the moves to talk about these, the first one that you're seeing here is Will-O-Wisp, which is a unique option that Infernape also has access to, being a fire-type Pokemon, which will burn its opponents and cripple their physical attack. And this, I cannot overstate enough, is incredibly unexpected on an Infernape, because nobody really anticipates it being able to status things like this. And this could completely ruin your opponent's strategy, potentially, if they're running something like Gliscor, and you burn it before the Toxic Orb gets activated, and things like that typically want to switch in on Infernape and can easily sponge a hit. Instead, you can status them and then switch out. You also still get the added benefit of all your great attacking power through the use of Close Combat and Fire Punch, allowing Infernape to still be incredibly offensively threatening. And for the last move on this set, we're going to be running Slack Off, which is an amazing recovery option that Infernape also has access to, giving it the opportunity to recover 50% of its health whenever it uses it, thus increasing its longevity in battle. I have seen this set work a countless number of times in various battles in multiple generations, and it's something that cannot be overstated as another alternative option that Infernape can run because it is very unexpected. So I hope you consider that as well. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video on Infernape. My hope is that it continues to be that amazing, threatening, physical, and or special attacker that we know and love it to be in this new generation, and I hope to see a lot of it in future battles because it is really such an iconic Gen 4 Pokemon, especially being such an amazing presence in the original Gen 4 OU metagame. But as always, everybody, that's it for this video. So take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.